So we got ourselves into a pretty crazy situation. I said, why can't we do it? We've got to learn sometime. We're sailing, we have no motor. Welcome back to the Pod Crew. Before we get started, we wanted to take a minute to show our deep appreciation for a couple of our Pod Crew members and to welcome a few new subscribers. Shout out to Joseph Dunahee, you are much appreciated. Michelin for never missing an episode. And welcome to Gavin Wixman, Terry Laverne, and Amanda Z. And to everyone that subscribed, thank you so much for being here. I'm Danielle, and together with my husband Jairo and our 7 rescue dogs, we're traveling the world. I believe a lot of the allure of sailing is the perceived freedom it brings, the open ocean, and its countless possibilities and destinations. But this freedom comes with the responsibility of maintaining the vessel, ensuring our safety and the safety of our pod crew, complying with the local laws, and it seems like we're always juggling passport stamps and boat permits. We've just gone and checked out of the country and gotten our sarpe, and we're off to Guatemala. Now the only thing left to do is roll up the blue mat, jump in and take a final swim, and say goodbye to Utila, which is going to be so hard to do. It's such a beautiful place. That's the bittersweet reality of traveling. You fall in love with these places, but then you've got to say goodbye. Smokey! So we got ourselves into a pretty crazy situation. Got here in the nick of time for the sunset. You see, we checked out of Honduras. We started motoring. The day was calm and beautiful, but we were only about an hour out when we heard an increase in activity in our engine room and then a sudden stopping of our motor. Our engine had gone from full of oil to empty within 1 hour. We had run our engine dry.
Yeah, diesels love their oil like a sailor loves his rum.
Huh, yes they do. Why is that, Captain Ron?
Well, nobody knows.
Huh.
There wasn't any wind, and we were only a kilometer or so offshore. And so quickly Jairo jumped in the dinghy, strapped it to the side, and we motored back to the familiar anchorage we'd just spent the last 5 months in. The concern here was that if we needed major engine repairs, this wasn't going to be the best place to get it done, probably. I just got 2 cold beers out of the fridge. We threw down the anchor. We're here, back in Utila. Jairo's a bit tired. So we decided, after seeing a few very inspirational YouTubers out there who were sailing around without their engines, I said, why can't we do it? We've got to learn sometime. So between us and our destination of Rio Dulce, Guatemala, luckily is a fairly open patch of Caribbean Ocean. The wind was supposed to be picking up to 10 to 15 knots, so we got the dinghy back on the hip. We motored out to get out into where we could catch the wind, and we put up both of our sails. We've only ever put the sails up and sailed twice. We were about to learn to sail by doing, setting out on a 100 nautical mile passage, but would we make it? That first night started out pretty well. I was hand steering the boat, but as it got dark, I unraveled as I got more and more tired. There was no moon whatsoever, so I couldn't see the waves, which direction they were coming from. And we were actually clipping along at 6 knots. I wanted to find the position where our boat felt more comfortable instead of having these waves hitting us out of nowhere because we couldn't see them coming. Honestly, I just wanted to push pause and say, stop, okay, let me get off this ride, I'll get back on tomorrow. In the morning when the sun came up and we realized we had made it to dawn, we were so relieved that that night was over. And I think we both knew then and there we were gonna need a good night's sleep tonight. During the day, we managed to sail pretty well for two people that are just learning. We learned to angle the boat with the different shifts in the wind to keep our sails from fluttering. I had looked up how to rig a jibe preventer since we were going downwind, and we didn't want the boom to be flying back and forth, potentially hitting us in the head or causing major damage to our rig and our sails. And that night, as we watched the sun go down, we were right off of Puerto Cortez, Honduras. So we knew we were going to need to get in there, drop anchor, and get some rest. But basically that meant we had to choose between going to land in an area that was reputed to be unsafe for sailors due to past pirate activity, or facing another night in rough seas with no sleep. I knew that Jairo wasn't able to go on, and neither was I. So it was way past dark, but we made it into Puerto Cortez and to the safety of the harbor. We'd been warned to keep an eye out on deck because there was a likelihood of a midnight robbery. But it felt like nothing on this earth could keep our eyes open, and so we both slid the hatch shut and slept completely undisturbed until the next morning.
Bienvenido a Puerto Cortés.
Hola, bienvenidos a Puerto Cortés. Hey, bienvenidos a Puerto Cortés.
Brand new umbrellas.
Honduras.
We found Puerto Cortez to be a quite beautiful, tropical little vacation spot with beachside restaurants and friendly locals. I can't say whether or not it's a safe place.
Les saluda Daisy Jiménez del restaurante El Estelazo.
Tenemos rica comida, langosta, ceviche, sopa. Véngase aquí a la playa La Coca-Cola.
Or recommend it to other cruisers. I can only tell you that in our experience of spending 2 nights there, we didn't see any reason for concern.
Bye.
And we got 2 really great nights of sleep before we hit the sea again, passing through Belize, destination Guatemala. Today was super calm, a little too calm. And so after not going anywhere for a few hours, the sun was starting to get to all of us, And we said, you know, why not? We did start to worry about the amount of gas left in our gas tank for our outboard, and as we rounded the corner, entering into Guatemala, we could see Cabo Tres Puntas, and the breeze started to pick up in the afternoon, so we were able to sail in finally, arriving again after dark. We'd been here in March on our way to Utila and the Bay Islands, and the water wasn't quite as clear, but we still managed to have a good time running around on the beach, collecting coconuts, and relaxing, waiting for the low tide over at Livingston so that we could get our boat over the sandbar and into the Rio Dulce. Feliz cumpleaños a ti. Feliz cumpleaños, mi amor. Feliz cumpleaños a ti. Cumpleaños, cumpleaños feliz. Cumpleaños feliz. While we waited, luckily I had stowed some bubbles in the bilge. Knowing that Jairo's birthday was coming up, even managed to make a somewhat decent cake. We're leaving Cabo Tres Puntas and we're heading over to Livingston, and our plan is to catch the breeze that's coming in this afternoon. We're sailing, we have no motor, and we're gonna go throw down the anchor outside the sandbar and spend the night out a mile offshore. It's gonna be calm, but there will be some swell with the storms and stuff that come through, so it might be kind of a bumpy night. We hope everything goes well. And then our plan is to cross the sandbar tomorrow morning at 5:30. The high tide's at 5:40, so actually maybe probably cross at like 5:15, 5, to be going across with the tide still kind of rising. We don't want to be going across with the tide going down. If you're unfamiliar with the tide here and the sandbar in Livingston, to get into the Rio Dulce, it's about a mile-long stretch over a sandbar, and we've been waiting for this high tide. We've been hanging out over here for the last few days. We celebrated Jairo's birthday yesterday. We're just ready to get into the Rio Dulce, get some boat work done, get to see our friends, and go to the grocery store. We're completely out of drinking water almost. We have about a half a gallon left, and so that'll be for tonight. And we're out of most things to eat and stuff, so it's definitely time. Jairo's been keeping us stocked with coconuts and mangoes and stuff he can get off the land over here. Yep. The sandbar at the mouth of the river in Livingston. If you draw much more than 6 feet, you might need to have a towboat come out and tip you over by attaching a tow rope to the halyard and pulling it at a 90-degree angle while you plow ahead, heeled over as far as they can get you. Since we're just on the cusp with just a little over 6 feet, I was hoping and praying we'd make it across under our own steam. We're leaving here under sail, hopefully going in the right direction. Not being pushed backwards. There's really not any wind to speak of, but we feel a little breeze, so we're gonna try to make some tracks. We've got the head sail out. We're going a whole half a knot, sometimes 0.3 knot. We can get the mainsail up and hopefully get maybe a whole knot out of this very gentle breeze. chiquita banana. Our radio does not work. I was calling that guy on our handheld, calling him on our inside one. No response. We can't hear him if he's calling us. That was so terrifying. We just had to completely get out of his way. We're going 2 knots and he's going 30 and just was gonna plow right over us. As a little bit of a finale to our big voyage, mostly under sail, this last 10 miles from Cabo Tres Puntas to just outside the sandbar at Livingston, we sailed off of anchor, sailed the entire way, and dropped anchor under sail. Now it was time to get some sleep if we could. At least 3 of them. It's early, huh, Pale? It was the roughest night's sleep I think we've had on anchor, just with the dinghy bashing into the side and the waves and the wind, and the wind finally died down, and it would be a really nice time to get some sleep right now. And we're up and about to do something that's very nerve-wracking. It's just now 5 in the morning and we are going to try to attempt to cross the sandbar with our dinghy strapped to our side as our motor. So Wyatt decided to rain right now, and it's gonna clear up as soon as we get done, I think. We're going, we've been over 1.8 and touched the bottom a little bit. I could just feel a little resistance, and now we're at 2 meters and we're probably about halfway through the sandbar. Welcome to Livingston! Woo! We just made that across. Of course, it stopped raining right when we got over here again and just poured on us the whole way, and their sailboat came in right behind us and didn't even see him out there when we started our approach. The navionics I had on both the phone and the iPad. The rain makes it difficult to use the screen to touch it, and it's moving around and trying to do different things, and we had this awning that I thought I had folded back nicely, but I need to be able to see over it. I need to be able to see under it. I should have just taken it off. It did help keep us a little bit dry, but I'm holding it, watching the depth, watching the navionics, and just Hyra's yelling at me. I run inside really quick to shut everything, all the hatches, and I ran so fast in. Close. I hear him screaming, this sailboat's turning around, the sailboat's turning around. We weathered storms, both literal and figurative, on this passage. Just as with life, sailing teaches resilience. We faced unpredictable weather and the vastness of the ocean. Looking back now, I realized that what probably got us through it was being adaptable to each and every situation. When you reach the end of a grueling night of no sleep, past moments when you truly believe you can't go on, eventually you will reach the dawn. And now, reaching the end of the long passage, we realized, luckily, we were more capable than we imagined. Woo, we made it! Welcome to Livingston! Thank you so much for being here. Next week, we wind our way up the Rio Dulce, and we take you along on this breathtaking and scenic journey. If you're looking for another great Pod Crew video, check out this one. This is all about how we got here to be on this sailboat and how our dreams have started coming true. Until next time, big salty kisses from the Pod Crew.